Hyunki stood at the window of his ship and looked out at Nexus Prime. The planet below was covered in silver cities that sparkled like jewels. This was his first time seeing an alien world, and it was more beautiful than anything he had imagined. Back on Earth. "Sir, we're getting permission to land," said Yunji from behind him. She was his assistant, and the smartest person he knew. Her voice sounded nervous, which made Hyunki feel nervous too. "Good," he said, trying to sound calm. "This is what we've been waiting for." The Soul's Pride was not the prettiest ship in space. It was made of steel and looked rough compared to the other ships around Nexus Prime. Through the window, Hyunki could see alien ships that looked like they were made of light itself. They moved without making any sound and glowed with soft colors. Their ship landed at the main spaceport with a loud thud. Hyunki could hear the metal creaking as it settled. He straightened his uniform and checked his translator device one more. "Time." "Remember," Yunji said as they walked to the exit, "we just need to ask nicely for trade rights and maybe a spot on their council. How hard can it be?" Hyunki wished he felt as hopeful as she sounded. The spaceport was huge. The ceiling was so high that Hyunki could barely see it. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked around them. Some looked like tall, thin people with blue skin and extra arms. Others looked like walking rocks with glowing eyes. A few looked like giant insects that walked on two legs. Most of them stopped to stare at the humans as they passed. Hyunki heard lots of clicking, buzzing, and whistling, sounds that his translator couldn't understand. He was pretty sure they weren't saying nice things. A tall alien with purple skin and silver hair approached them. She wore robes that seemed to move by themselves, and her eyes were completely black. "I am Ambassador Eshatara of the Valari Empire," she said. Her voice sounded like music, but cold music. "You must be the humans we've heard so little about." "I'm Ambassador Hyunki," he replied with a bow. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Eshtara looked at him like he was something stuck to her shoe. "Yes, well, let's get this over with. Follow me." They walked through corridors that were made of some kind of crystal. The walls showed moving pictures of alien worlds and star battles. Hyunki tried not to look too amazed, but it was hard. Everything here was so advanced compared to what humans had. The meeting room was circular and filled with floating chairs. Aliens were already sitting in most of them, talking in languages. That made Hyunki's head hurt. When he and Yunji entered, all conversation stopped. "Everyone," Eshtara announced. "These are the humans." A large alien that looked like a cross between a bear and a rhinoceros laughed loudly. "Those tiny things? They look like they'd break if I breathed on them too hard." "I am General Vexthor of the Korsan Republic," the bear rhino alien said. "I've seen their ship. It's made of metal like something from the old days. Do they not know how to make proper ships?" Another alien, this one covered in scales and wearing lots of jewelry, spoke up. "I am Trademaster Kelvana of the Thessian Confederation. Your ship does look rather primitive. Are you sure you're ready for galactic commerce?" Hyunki felt his face get hot, but he kept his voice steady. "Our technology may look different, but it works well for us. We've come here hoping to join the galactic community and establish peaceful trade relationships." The room erupted in laughter, not just a few chuckles, but loud, mocking laughter that echoed off the crystal walls. "Join the galactic community?" Eshtara said, wiping tears from her black eyes. "My dear little human, do you have any idea what that means? The galactic community is for advanced civilizations. We have standards." "What she means," General Vexthor said, still chuckling, "is that you need to prove you belong here. Anyone can ask for a seat at the big table, but not everyone deserves one." Hyunki looked around the room. Every alien face showed the same expression of amusement and superiority. He felt small and out of place, but he had come too far to give. "Up now. What kind of proof do you need?" he asked. Trademaster Kelvana's scaled face curved into what might have been a smile. "There's been a small problem in the outer systems. Some pirates have been bothering our trade routes. Nothing serious, just a few troublemakers with old ships." "If you can deal with this tiny pirate problem," Eshatara said, "then maybe we'll consider your request for membership. It should be easy for a spacefaring species like yours." General Vexthor nodded. "Just a handful of ships. Any real military could handle them without breaking a sweat. Consider it a test. Yunji leaned close to Hyun-ki and whispered. This sounds like a trap, Hyun-ki whispered back. Everything about this sounds like a trap, but what choice do we have? He stood up and addressed the room. We accept your test. Where are these pirates located? The Kepler Nebula, Eshitara said quickly, like she had been waiting for him to ask. Take your little metal ship there and wait. The pirates will find you soon enough. Just remember, General Vexthor added with a grin that showed too many teeth. If you run away or get destroyed, we'll assume humans aren't ready for galactic civilization. And if we succeed? Hyun-ki asked. Then we'll discuss your application, Trademaster Kelvana said. But don't get your hopes up. These pirates have some surprisingly good ships. As the meeting ended, Hyun-ki noticed something strange. Several of the aliens were trying very hard not to look at each other. When they thought no one was watching, a few of them nodded at each other very slightly. Back on the Soul's Pride, Yunji paced around the small bridge while Hyun-ki sat in the captain's chair. They set us up, she said. Those weren't friendly. Suggestions. They want us dead. I know, Hyun-ki replied. The question is, what do we do about it? We could go home. Tell Earth that the galaxy isn't ready for us yet. Hyun-ki shook his head. Earth needs these trade routes. Our population is growing too fast and we're running out of resources. This might be our only chance. So we go to the Kepler Nebula and hope for the best? No, Hyun-ki said, reaching for the quantum communicator. We go to the Kepler Nebula and call for backup. Yunji looked confused. Backup? What backup? Earth only sent us one ship. Hyun-ki smiled for the first time since they had landed on Nexus Prime. That's what they want everyone to think. He activated the communicator and spoke clearly into it. Soul's Pride to Fleet Command. We need to implement Protocol 77 Alpha. The response came immediately. Soul's Pride, this is Admiral A. Bora. Confirm authorization for Protocol 77 Alpha. Confirmed. We have hostile contact and require Titan support. Understood. The Inchen's Wrath is moving to position. You are no longer alone out there. Yunji stared at him. Titan. Support? What's a Titan? Something the aliens are about to learn exists, Hyun-ki said. Set course for the Kepler Nebula. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do. As the Soul's Pride left Nexus Prime, hidden sensors throughout the galaxy detected something massive moving through hyperspace. The readings were so large that most computers assumed they were malfunctions. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Eshitara received a message from Warlord Kethmos of the Skriax Marauders. The humans are coming. We'll be ready for them. Good, she replied. Make sure there's nothing left to identify. We can't have this traced back to the Council. But deep in space, something was waking up. Something that would change everything. The galaxy thought it knew about the small, primitive species called humans. The test was about to begin, but not the way anyone expected. Captain Do-hyun looked out at the swirling colors of the Kepler Nebula and tried to stay calm. The nebula was beautiful, with clouds of gas that glowed pink and blue and gold. But beauty wouldn't help them if this turned into a fight. Sir, said Mina from her position at the sensor station, I'm picking up multiple contacts approaching our position. How many? Do-hyun asked. Mina's face went pale. 47 ships, sir. And they're big ones. Do-hyun felt his stomach drop. The aliens had said it would be a few pirates with old ships. 47 ships was not a few, and from what his sensors were telling him, these were not old ships either. Sir, called out his communications officer, we're being hailed. Put it on screen. The main display flickered and showed the face of something that looked like a cross between a shark and a lizard. Its eyes were yellow and cold, and when it smiled, Do-hyun could see rows of sharp teeth. I am Warlord Kethmos of the Skriax Marauders, the creature said. Its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. You are the humans we've heard so much about. I'm Captain Do-hyun of the Soul's Pride, Do-hyun replied. We're here on a peaceful mission. Kethmos laughed, a sound that made everyone on the bridge uncomfortable. Peaceful? That's funny. Your new alien friends paid us very well to make sure your mission ends here. Do-hyun looked at Mina, who nodded slightly. She had been recording everything. This was proof that the Galactic Council had set them up. We don't want any trouble, Do-hyun said. Let us leave and we'll forget this happened. Oh, but I can't do that, Kethmos said, still smiling. You see, the job was very specific. No humans can be allowed to return from this nebula. Nothing personal, you understand. Just business. The pirate ships were getting closer. Do-hyun could see them on his tactical display, surrounding his small ship like wolves around a wounded deer. Each pirate ship was at least twice the size of the Soul's Pride, and there were dozens of them. Sir, Mina said quietly, what do we do? Do-hyun reached for the quantum communicator. This was the moment he had been trained for, but hoped would never come. All stations, prepare for combat, he announced to his crew. Then, into the communicator, he spoke the words that would change everything. Protocol 77 Alpha. Wake, the Titan. Far away, hidden in the shadow of a gas giant, something enormous began to move. Admiral Bo-Ra sat in the command chair of the largest ship ever built by human hands. The Incheon's Wrath had been sleeping for months, powered down and hidden, waiting for this moment. Ma'am, reported her sensor officer, Soul's Pride is surrounded. 47 hostile ships confirmed. Understood, Bo-Ra said calmly. All hands, this is the Admiral. Wake-up protocol is now in effect. All systems online. Throughout the massive ship, lights began to flicker on. Fusion reactors that had been dormant roared to life. Weapon systems that had been cold for months started to warm up. The ship's artificial intelligence, which had been sleeping, opened its electronic eyes and began calculating firing solutions. The Incheon's Wrath was 20 kilometers long and 4 kilometers wide. It was not just a ship. It was a flying city built for war. Its hull was made of materials that didn't exist anywhere else in the galaxy, metals that had been created in Earth's secret laboratories. Its weapons could crack planets, and its shields could stop almost anything. But the most important thing about the Incheon's Wrath was that no one in the galaxy knew it existed. Ma'am, called out Chief Engineer Nam-ho, all systems are green. We're ready for whatever you want to throw at them. Good, Admiral Bo-Ra said. Set course for the Soul's Pride. Maximum speed. Back in the Kepler Nebula, Warlord Kethmos was enjoying himself. He had moved his fleet into attack formation and was preparing to destroy the small human ship. It would be easy money. Human Captain, he said into his communicator, you have 1 minute to say your prayers to whatever gods you worship. Then, we turn your ship into space dust. Do-hyun looked around his bridge. His crew was scared, but they were ready to fight. They all knew they were probably going to die, but they would go down fighting. Sir, Mina said suddenly, I'm getting some strange readings from the gas giant. What kind of readings? Massive energy signatures. Something big is moving over there. Kethmos heard this too, and his smile faltered slightly. What energy signatures? There's nothing in this system but gas and rocks. Sir, one of his officers called out. Our sensors are going crazy. Something's coming out of the gas giant's atmosphere. At first, it looked like a small moon breaking free from the gas giant. But as it got closer, everyone realized it was not a moon. It was a ship, the biggest ship anyone had ever seen. The Incheon's Wrath emerged from the gas giant like a sea monster rising from the depths. Its hull was dark gray and covered in weapons that looked like they could destroy entire fleets. Along its sides, huge letters spelled out its name in multiple languages, including several alien languages that showed humans had been studying galactic civilization for a long time. By the void, Kethmos whispered. What is that thing? His sensors were screaming warnings at him. The ship was so massive that it had its own gravitational field. Its power readings were off the charts. Its weapon signatures showed enough firepower to glass a continent. Sir, his tactical officer said in a shaking voice, that ship is bigger than our entire fleet put together. Do-hyun smiled as he watched the pirate ships suddenly stop their attack and try to figure out what they were looking at. Soul's Pride, this is Admiral Bo-Ra aboard the Incheon's Wrath, came a calm voice over the radio. Sorry we're late to the party. Admiral, Do-hyun replied, we have 47 hostile ships surrounding us. They've admitted to being paid by the Galactic Council to destroy us. I see them, Bo-Ra said. Don't worry, Captain. We'll handle this. Kethmos finally found his voice. Human ship. I don't know what kind of trick this is, but you can't scare us with one big ship. We have you outnumbered 47-2. Actually, Admiral Bo-Ra's voice came over the open channel. You have it backwards. We have you outnumbered 1-47, but don't worry, this won't take long. The Inchan's wrath began to power up its weapons. The sound could be heard through space itself as massive magnetic accelerators charged up, point defense systems deployed from hidden ports along the hull. Shield generators hummed to life, creating a barrier of energy around the ship that sparkled like a rainbow. Kethmos looked at his tactical display and felt something he had never felt before: pure terror. The human ship's weapon systems were unlike anything in the galaxy. They weren't energy-based like most alien weapons. They were kinetic, designed to throw pieces of metal at incredible speeds, and there were hundreds of them. All ships, he ordered. Attack! Destroy that thing before it can fire! 47 pirate ships opened fire at once. Energy beams, plasma cannons, and missile swarms all converged on the Inchan's wrath. The light show was incredible, bright enough to be seen, from several star systems away. When the light faded, the Inchan's wrath was still there. Its shields had absorbed everything the pirates could throw at it, and the ship didn't even have a scratch on its hull. Our turn, Admiral Bo-Ra said quietly. The Inchan's wrath fired a single shot from one of its main guns, the magnetic accelerator. Cannon hurled a piece of metal the size of a car at nearly the speed of light. The projectile passed through 3 pirate ships like they were made of paper, leaving perfectly round holes in each one. The pirates stopped firing and stared in shock. One shot had crippled 3 of their ships, and the human ship had hundreds of those guns. "This is Admiral Bo-Ra to all pirate vessels," came the calm voice over the radio. "You have attacked a diplomatic mission under the protection of the human fleet. Surrender now, and we will allow you to leave with your lives. Continue fighting, and we will demonstrate why picking a fight with humans is a very bad idea." Kethmos looked around his bridge. His officers were all staring at him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? His entire fleet couldn't even scratch that monster, and it had just shown that it could destroy them whenever it wanted to. But he had been paid too much money to give up now, and maybe, if he was very lucky, he could still complete his mission. "All ships," he growled. "Focus fire on the small human ship. If we can't destroy the big one, we'll at least finish the job we were paid for." It was the last mistake Warlord Kethmos would ever make. The Inchan's wrath responded instantly. This time it didn't fire just one gun. It fired dozens of them, all aimed with perfect precision. Pirate ships began to disappear in flashes of light as kinetic projectiles tore through their hulls. But the human ship wasn't trying to destroy them all. It was disabling them, taking out their weapons and engines while leaving their life support intact. In less than 5 minutes, the entire pirate fleet was drifting helplessly in space. Not one pirate had been killed, but not one ship could still fight. "Warlord Kethmos," Admiral Bo-Ra said, "you are now our prisoner. We're going to have a little talk about who paid you to attack us, and then you're going to help us deliver a message to the Galactic Council." As the Inchan's wrath began, collecting the disabled pirate ships, news of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Chief Weapons Officer Teho had dreamed of this moment for years. Ever since he was a boy growing up on Earth, he had imagined what it would be like to show the galaxy what human engineering could accomplish. Now, sitting at his station aboard, the Inchan's wrath, that dream was becoming reality. "Admiral," he reported to Bo-Ra, "all weapon systems are online and ready. Targeting solutions are locked on all remaining pirate vessels." Admiral Bo-Ra studied the tactical display in front of her. The pirate fleet was still trying to regroup after losing their first 3 ships to a single shot. She could destroy them all in seconds if she wanted to, but that wasn't the point. This was about sending a message, not about massacre. "Target. Their weapon systems only," she ordered. "I want them disabled, not destroyed. We need some of them alive to answer questions." Teho's fingers danced across his controls. The targeting computer was the most advanced system humans had ever built, capable of calculating the exact trajectory needed to hit a moving target from thousands of kilometers away. Each calculation took into account the target's speed, direction, the gravitational pull of nearby objects, and dozens of other factors. "Firing solution ready, Admiral," he announced. "Make it precise, Teho. Show them what controlled force looks like. The main guns of the Inchin's Wrath fired in sequence. Each shot was perfectly aimed, striking exactly where Tae-ho intended. The first shot took out the main gun of a pirate cruiser without damaging anything else on the ship. The second shot destroyed the missile launchers of another ship while leaving the rest of the vessel intact. The third shot disabled the engines of Kethmos's flagship, leaving it drifting but undamaged. Throughout the pirate fleet, alien crews watched in amazement and terror as the human ship demonstrated surgical precision with weapons that could have wiped them all out. This wasn't random destruction. This was controlled, calculated, and absolutely precise. "Admiral," called out Engineer Namho from his station, "I'm getting damage reports from the pirate ships. All hits were exactly on target. No unnecessary casualties." "Good," Bo-Ra replied. "Open a channel to all pirate vessels." The communication screen flickered to life, showing multiple pirate captains on split screens. Most of them looked terrified. A few looked angry. All of them looked confused. "This is Admiral Bo-Ra of the human fleet," she said calmly. "As you can see, we could have destroyed you all in the first 30 seconds of this engagement. Instead, we chose to disable your ships to make a point." Warlord Kethmos, his shark-like face twisted with rage, spoke up from his damaged flagship. "What point is that, human? That you have bigger guns?" "The point," Bo-Ra said, "is that humans don't fight wars the way you do. We don't destroy everything. We touch. We fight with purpose, with precision, and with restraint when appropriate." One of the other pirate captains, a creature covered in scales and tentacles, raised a clawed hand. "You speak of restraint, but you just destroyed our entire fleet." "Did I?" Bo-Ra asked. "Check your life support systems. Check your crew quarters. Check your medical bays. You'll find that everything necessary for your survival is intact. Your weapons are gone, your engines are disabled, but you're all still alive." Tae-ho watched the aliens' faces on screen as they realized the truth. The human ship could have vaporized them all, but instead had chosen to neutralize them with minimal casualties. It was a demonstration of power, but also of mercy. "Now," Admiral Bo-Ra continued, "let's talk about who paid you to attack a diplomatic mission." Kethmos bared his teeth. "We don't talk. Pirates have a code." "I understand," Bo-Ra said. "Namho, please scan their ships for any useful intelligence." Engineer Namho's fingers flew over his controls. The Inchin's Wrath sensors were incredibly advanced, capable of penetrating most types of hull shielding. Within minutes, he had accessed the computer systems of several pirate ships. "Admiral," he reported, "I'm finding payment records, communication logs, and mission briefings. It looks like they were hired by someone calling themselves the Council's Shadow. The payments came from accounts linked to the Valari Empire, the Korsan Republic, and the Thessian Confederation." Admiral Bo-Ra nodded grimly. "So all three major powers were in on this. They wanted to eliminate humanity before we could become a threat." One of the smaller pirate captains, apparently deciding that cooperation was better than destruction, spoke up. "The Valari ambassador approached us first. She said humans were a disease that needed to be removed before it could spread. The others joined in later," Kethmos roared at his subordinate. "Silence, you fool!" "No," the smaller captain replied. "I'm not dying for their politics. They paid us to kill diplomats, which is against every code of space warfare. This was supposed to be a simple raid, not an assassination." Admiral Bo-Ra leaned forward in her chair. "What exactly were your orders?" "Complete destruction," the captain admitted. "No survivors, no evidence. Make it look like the humans ran into some bad luck in the nebula." "And how much did they pay you for this assassination?" "Enough to buy a small planet," another pirate captain chimed in. "More money than we'd ever seen before." Tae-ho shook his head in disgust. The aliens had been so afraid of human competition that they were willing to pay massive amounts of money to prevent humanity from even getting a chance to prove themselves. "Admiral," he said quietly, "we have enough evidence to prove the Council. Set us up. What do we do now?" Bo-Ra thought for a moment, then smiled. "Now we give them exactly what they asked for. Namho, begin broadcasting everything we've learned to every communication array in the galaxy. I want everyone to know what the Galactic Council tried to do to a peaceful diplomatic mission." "Broadcasting now, Admiral. Namho confirmed. The whole galaxy is about to learn the truth. Within hours, the news had spread across hundreds of star systems. The footage of the Inchun's wrath easily defeating an entire pirate fleet was being analyzed by military experts everywhere. But even more shocking was the evidence that the three most powerful governments in the galaxy had conspired to murder human diplomats. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Eshatara was frantically trying to contact her superiors. The elegant Valari had built their reputation on honor and sophistication, but now they were being accused of hiring assassins. "This is a disaster," she said to her aide. "How did the humans get a ship like that? Our intelligence said they were primitive. Perhaps our intelligence was wrong," her aide suggested nervously. General Vexthor of the Korzan Republic was having similar problems. The Korzan military prided itself on superior tactics and planning, but they had been completely caught off. "Guard by human capabilities. How many ships like that do they have?" he demanded of his intelligence officers. "We don't know, sir," came the reply. "We're detecting massive energy signatures from the direction of their home system, but we can't get close enough to investigate." Trademaster Kelvana of the Thessian Confederation was already trying to figure out how to turn this disaster into an opportunity. If humans had technology this advanced, the Thessians wanted to be the first to make trade deals with them. Back in the Kepler Nebula, Admiral Bora was finishing her interrogation of the pirate leaders. She had learned enough to prove that the attack was planned by the Galactic Council, and she had broadcast that evidence to every corner of the galaxy. "Warlord Kethmos," she said, "you and your crews are free to go. Your ships have been repaired enough to get you home safely." The shark-like alien looked confused. "You're letting us go? After we tried to kill you?" "You were hired to do a job," Bora replied. "You failed, and now everyone knows who hired you. I think that's punishment enough." But you could keep us as prisoners, or destroy us. Why show mercy?" Admiral Bora stood up from her command chair and looked directly at the pirate leader. "Because, Warlord, humans fight wars to end them, not to continue them. We want peace with the galaxy, not more enemies." As the pirate ships limped away from the nebula, many of their crews were already talking about what they had witnessed. The humans had shown incredible power, but they had also shown incredible restraint. They could have been conquerors, but instead they chose to be protectors. The news was spreading faster than anyone had expected. Alien news networks were broadcasting footage of the battle alongside the evidence of the Council's conspiracy. Public opinion was shifting rapidly as ordinary aliens realized their governments had tried to commit murder. "Admiral," Tejo said as they watched the pirate fleet disappear into hyperspace, "what happens now?" "Now," Admiral Bora said, Wait, the galaxy knows we exist, they know we're powerful, and they know their leaders tried to have us killed. The next move is theirs. Do you think they'll try to attack us directly?" Bora shook her head. "No, they're too smart for that. But they'll be planning something. The question is whether they'll try to destroy us or try to understand us." Engineer Namho looked up from his console. "Admiral, I'm getting a priority message from Earth. Fleet Command wants to know if we should reveal the existence of our other Titan-class ships." Admiral Bora considered this carefully. The Inchun's wrath was powerful, but it was only one ship. Earth had built 2 more Titans in secret, and work was beginning on a 4th. If the galaxy was going to take humanity seriously, they needed to know that this wasn't a lucky accident. Defense Minister Kiwu sat in his office on Earth, watching reports flood in from across the galaxy. His communication console hadn't stopped beeping for hours as alien governments desperately tried to contact human leadership. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. How many more ships like the Inchun's Wrath did humanity possess? "Sir," his aide announced, "the Valari Empress is requesting an immediate diplomatic meeting. The Korzan Supreme Admiral wants to discuss military cooperation, and the Thessian Trade Council is offering us exclusive commercial agreements." Kiwu almost laughed. 24 hours ago, these same aliens had been trying to have humanity wiped out. Now they were begging for meetings and offering deals. "Tell them all the same thing," he said. "Humanity will consider their requests after they publicly apologize for the assassination attempt and provide full compensation for the damages." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Valari Empress Zalandra was holding an emergency meeting with her high command. The Valari had always believed their elegant, energy-based ships were the pinnacle of galactic engineering. Now they looked like toys compared to human technology. "How is this possible?" she demanded of her chief engineer. "Our sensors show that human ship is made of primitive metals and basic fusion reactors. How can it be so powerful?" "Your Majesty," the engineer said nervously, "I think we've been thinking about this wrong. We've always focused on making our ships beautiful and efficient. The humans focused on making them strong and deadly." Supreme Military Advisor Veltara, a tall Valari with silver markings on her purple skin, spoke up. "Our ships can outrun theirs, and our weapons are more precise. But their ships can take damage that would destroy us instantly, and their weapons hit much harder than ours." "So what do you recommend?" the Empress asked. "We need to study human engineering," Veltara admitted reluctantly. "Our way isn't the only way, and it might not be the best way." In Khorzan space, Supreme Admiral Thorak was facing his own crisis. The Khorzan Republic had built its power on military might and tactical superiority. Their disciplined fleets had never lost a major engagement, but the footage from the Kepler Nebula showed tactics they had never seen before. "The humans didn't follow any known battle doctrine," reported his tactical analyst. "They used overwhelming force but with surgical precision. They could have destroyed the entire pirate fleet in seconds, but they chose to disable them instead." "Why would they do that?" Thorak asked. "Unknown, sir. It might be mercy, or it might be a demonstration that they don't need to kill to win." Intelligence Officer Yong Su, who had been working undercover in Khorzan space for months, listened to these conversations with interest. The Khorzan military was panicking because they had never encountered an enemy that was both more powerful and more restrained than they were. "Sir," Yong Su said carefully, using his cover identity as a Khorzan tactical advisor, "perhaps we should consider that the humans fight differently because they think differently." Admiral Thorak looked at him suspiciously. "What do you mean?" "Most galactic warfare is about dominance and territory," Yong Su explained. "But the humans seem to fight to end conflicts, not to win them. They disabled the pirates instead of destroying them, then let them go with evidence of who hired them. That's weakness," one of the other officers said. "Is it?" Yong Su asked. "The pirates are now spreading the story of human power and mercy across the galaxy. Every criminal organization now knows that attacking humans brings swift punishment, but also that surrender brings mercy. Which approach creates more stability?" Admiral Thorak was quiet for a long moment. "You think the humans are playing a longer game than we are?" "I think the humans are playing a different game entirely," Yong Su replied. In Thessian space, trade. Coordinator Hyren was already working on new opportunities. The Thessians had built their civilization on commerce and profit, and they could smell opportunity in the chaos that was spreading across the galaxy. "The Valari and Khorzan are paralyzed by fear," she told her business council. "But fear creates opportunity for those smart enough to see it." "What are you proposing?" asked the chairman of the Thessian Commercial Guild. "Full economic partnership with humanity," Hyren said. "They have technology we need, and we have trade networks they need. While the other empires are trying to figure out how to fight humans, we'll be figuring out how to profit with them." "But what if the humans are planning to conquer the galaxy?" Hyren pulled up the footage from the Kepler Nebula. "Look at this again. They had a fleet of pirates at their mercy, and they let them go. Conquerors don't do that. These humans want to trade, not to rule." Back on Earth, Fleet Admiral Chang Min was overseeing the final construction phases of humanity's newest Titan-class vessels. The Soul's Thunder and the Busan's Vengeance were nearly complete, and work had begun on a fourth ship, the Daegu's Fury. "Admiral," his chief engineer reported, "all three ships will be operational within the month. The new magnetic accelerator cannons are testing above specifications, and the defensive systems are even better than we hoped." "Good," Chang Min replied, "because I don't think this is over yet." His prediction proved accurate. Within days of the Kepler Nebula incident, alien military fleets throughout the galaxy began mobilizing. The Valari were retrofitting their ships with heavier armor. The Khorzan were developing new weapons designed specifically to penetrate human hulls. Even the peaceful Thessians were upgrading their merchant ships with military-grade shields. But the most concerning development came from the Outer Rim territories, where various alien species that had been rejected by the Galactic Council were forming an alliance. They called themselves the Liberation Front, and their message was simple. If the humans could challenge the established order, so could they. "Sir," reported Intelligence Director Su Jin during a briefing with Earth's leadership, "we're seeing unprecedented cooperation between species that have been enemies for centuries. They're all united by one thing. They want to bring down the current galactic order." "Are they targeting us specifically?" asked Defense Minister Kiwoo. "Not yet," Su Jin replied. "But some of their leaders think that if they can defeat humanity, they'll prove that the major empires are vulnerable." President Hansol, Earth's elected leader, looked around the room at his advisors. "So we have the major empires trying to figure out how to deal with us, and the minor species trying to use us to start a galactic revolution. Any other good news?" "Actually, yes," said Trade Minister Jae-won. "The Thessians have offered us exclusive access to their trade networks. If we accept, human goods could be in every corner of the galaxy within a year." "And the catch?" "We'd have to provide them with some of our technology. Nothing military, but they want our manufacturing techniques and material science." President Hansol was quiet for a moment. "What do our allies think?" "We don't have any allies yet," Defense Minister Kiwoo reminded him. "We're still the new kids on the block." "Then maybe it's time to make some," the president said. "Contact the Thessians. Tell them we're interested in their offer, but we want to discuss it face to face." "Sir," Admiral Changmin said, "if you're planning to meet with alien leaders, I recommend taking appropriate security measures." "You mean one of our Titan-class ships?" "I mean all of our Titan-class ships," Changmin replied. "If we're going to negotiate from a position of strength, we need to show that strength." As Earth's leadership made plans for their first major diplomatic mission, the galaxy continued to react to the new reality. Humanity was no longer a curiosity or a potential victim. They were a major power, whether they wanted to be or not. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Eshatara received new orders from the Valari High Command. She was to make contact with human leadership and offer a formal apology for the assassination attempt. The Valari Empire was cutting its losses and hoping to establish peaceful relations before the situation got worse. Similar orders were going out from Corzan Command and Thessian Central. The galactic community that had tried to eliminate humanity was now desperately trying to figure out how to coexist with them. But in the darker corners of the galaxy, other plans were being made. Criminal organizations that had worked with the major empires were now switching sides, hoping to curry favor with the humans. Rebel groups that had been fighting losing battles for decades were suddenly optimistic about their chances. The balance of power that had kept the galaxy stable for thousands of years was shifting, and at the center of that shift was a species that most aliens had dismissed as primitive only days before. "Sir," Intelligence Director Su Jin reported. During her daily briefing, "We're getting reports of spontaneous celebrations on dozens of worlds. Apparently, many alien species see us as liberators." "Liberators from what?" President Hansol asked. "From the current system. The major empires have been keeping smaller species down for centuries. Our success is giving them hope that change is possible." President Hansol sighed. "We came looking for trade partners and ended up starting a galactic revolution." "Maybe that's not such a bad thing," suggested Defense Minister Kiwoo. "The current system tried to have us killed. Maybe it's time for a new system." As Earth's leaders debated their next moves, the rest of the galaxy waited to see what the humans would do next. Would they use their power to conquer? 6 months had passed since the incident at the Kepler Nebula, and Ambassador Hyun-Ki barely recognized the galaxy around him. He stood in the same meeting room on Nexus Prime where the aliens had once laughed at him, but everything had changed. The floating chairs that had once held only 3 major empire representatives now accommodated delegates from dozens of worlds. The Galactic Council will now hear humanity's proposal for the Mutual Defense Charter, announced the new council. Chairman, a wise-looking alien from a species that had been ignored by the major empires for centuries. Hyun-Ki stood and looked around the room. Ambassador Eshtara sat in her chair, no longer wearing the expression of superior amusement she had once shown. General Vexthor looked uncomfortable, like a predator that had suddenly discovered it was no longer at the top of the food chain. Trade Master Kelvana seemed eager and attentive, probably calculating profit margins. "Honored delegates," Hyun-Ki began. 6 months ago, I came to this room asking for the chance to join your community. You offered us a test, and we passed it. But in passing that test, we learned something important about ourselves and about the galaxy. He activated a holographic display that showed the current state of galactic politics. What had once been 3 major empires dominating hundreds of smaller species was now a complex web of alliances and partnerships. We learned that strength without wisdom is dangerous, but wisdom without strength is powerless. Humanity proposes a new approach to galactic governance, partnership based on mutual respect and shared defense. Ambassador Eshtara spoke up, her musical voice much more respectful than it had been months earlier. What exactly does humanity mean by mutual defense? Simply this, Hyun-Ki replied. Any attack on one member world is considered an attack on all member worlds. No more hiring pirates to eliminate inconvenient species. No more using economic pressure to force smaller worlds into submission. No more treating entire civilizations as expendable. General Vexthor looked skeptical. And what happens if a member world attacks another member world? Then humanity's Titan fleet responds, Hyun-Ki said simply. We don't take sides in internal disputes, but we stop wars before they can spread. The room erupted in discussions, as delegates realized what this meant. Humanity was offering to become the galaxy's police force, but not its rulers. Defense Coordinator Sujin, who had been working closely with Valari engineers for months, stood up from her position at the advisory panel. Her presence there would have been unthinkable 6 months ago, but the Valari had requested human assistance in redesigning their ships. If I may, she said, I'd like to share what we've learned from our partnership with the Valari Empire. The holographic display changed to show technical drawings of new ship designs. They were clearly Valari in their elegant curves and energy-based systems, but they also incorporated human armor plating and structural reinforcement. By combining Valari energy efficiency with human durability, we've created ships that are both beautiful and practical. The first joint Valari human patrol vessels are already protecting trade routes in the Outer Rim. General Gite, who served as humanity's liaison to the Khorzan Republic, added his own report. Similar cooperation with Khorzan forces has produced new tactical doctrines that emphasize protection over conquest. Joint training exercises have shown that Khorzan discipline combined with human adaptability creates incredibly effective peacekeeping forces. Trademaster Kelvana practically glowed with satisfaction as she presented her economic data. Thessian human commercial ventures have increased trade volume by 400% in the past 6 months. Human manufacturing techniques have revolutionized our production capabilities, while Thessian distribution networks have carried human goods to every corner of the galaxy. CEO Jaewon, representing Earth's commercial interests, smiled as he added, and Thessian marketing expertise has helped us understand what different species actually want to buy. It turns out that practical, durable goods are popular everywhere. But the real surprise came when Delegate Mordan of the Outer Rim Coalition spoke up. His species had been fighting the major empires for generations, and no one had expected them to support any proposal that included those empires. 6 months ago, my people were ready to die fighting what we saw as galactic tyranny, he said. Today we're working alongside former enemies to build something better. The humans didn't just defeat our oppressors. They convinced those oppressors to become our partners. Ambassador Hyun-Ki nodded gratefully. This is what humanity offers. To the galaxy, not conquest, but cooperation, not dominance, but partnership. The vote was closer than Hyun-Ki had hoped, but the Mutual Defense Charter passed. Humanity received not just membership in the Galactic Council, but a permanent seat on the new Security Directorate that would coordinate the galaxy's joint defense forces. As the meeting ended, Admiral Bo-Ra's voice came over the intercom from orbit. Nexus Prime Control, this is the Human Defense Fleet. We have 4 Titan-class vessels in formation and are ready to begin joint exercises with volunteer forces from any interested worlds. The response was immediate. Ships from dozens of different species moved to join the formation. What had started as humanity's demonstration of power had become a symbol of galactic cooperation. Later that day, Ambassador Eshtara approached Hyun-Ki privately. Her proud demeanor had been replaced by something that looked almost like humility. I owe you an apology, she said. When you first came here, I saw only a primitive species that might disrupt our comfortable arrangement. I didn't see what you could contribute. And now, Hyun-ki asked, now I see that our comfortable arrangement was built on the suffering of others. Your species has shown us that strength can be used to protect rather than to oppress. General Vexthor joined them, his massive frame somehow looking smaller than it had months before. The Khorzan Republic has learned much from working with human forces. We thought military might was about crushing enemies. You've taught us it's about preventing the need for enemies in the first place. We still have disagreements with some of your methods, Trademaster Kelvana added as she approached the group. But your results speak for themselves. Galactic, trade has never been more profitable or more stable. As the alien diplomats walked away, Yun-ji appeared at Hyun-ki's side. His former aide had been promoted to deputy ambassador and was now one of the most respected voices in galactic politics. Do you think it will last? She asked. The peace? The cooperation? Hyun-ki considered her question carefully. I think it will last as long as people remember that the alternative is what we had before. In orbit above Nexus Prime, Admiral Bo-Ra watched the joint fleet exercises from the bridge of the Incheon's Wrath. Ships from a dozen different species were practicing formation flying and coordinated maneuvers. Velari energy weapons were learning to support human kinetic bombardment. Khorzan tactical precision was combining with Thessian logistics expertise. Admiral, reported Chief Weapons Officer Tae-ho, the joint exercises are going better than expected. Everyone seems eager to learn from everyone else. Good, Bo-Ra replied. Engineer Nam-ho, what's the status on our newest ships? The Daigu's Fury will be online next month, Nam-ho reported. The Ulsan's Pride is ahead of schedule and should be ready in 3 months, and construction has begun on the Gwangju's Honor. 6 Titan-class ships, Admiral Bo-Ra mused. That should be enough. To keep the peace for a while, Admiral, Tae-ho said quietly. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd just accepted the aliens' original rejection? Bo-Ra thought about this for a moment. We'd probably still be stuck in our own solar system, fighting over resources, and wondering if we were alone in the universe. Instead, we're here, helping to build something better. On the surface of Nexus Prime, Ambassador Hyun-ki received a priority message from Earth. President Han Sol wanted to know if humanity should reveal the full extent of their shipbuilding capabilities. The truth was that Earth could build Titan-class vessels much faster than anyone realized, and plans existed for ships even larger than the current Titans. Not yet, Hyun-ki replied. Let's see how well the galaxy handles the ships we've already shown them. As the message went out, Engineer Nam-ho was already working on preliminary designs for the next generation of human ships. The Titan-class vessels had been built for war, but the new ships would be built for exploration and peaceful contact with species that hadn't yet joined the galactic community, because that was another thing the galaxy had learned about humans. They were never satisfied with the status quo. They always wanted to explore further, to meet new people, to build something bigger and better than what came before. In the Outer Rim territories, former pirates and rebels were now working as peacekeepers and trade escorts. Warlord Kethmos, who had once tried to destroy human diplomats, was now commanding a mixed fleet of reformed criminals who protected merchant vessels from the few remaining hostile forces. Never thought I'd be working for the good guys, he admitted to his first officer, a former Khorzan deserter. Are we the good guys now? The Khorzan asked. Well, Kethmos said, looking at the peaceful trade convoy they were escorting. We're not shooting at innocent people anymore. I guess that's a start.